Good evening, everybody. I'm going to do my talk on lessons learned. This is from the Gold Clock CTF from last month. We are not going to actually go through the CTF. If you really want to do that, you can come and see me after this. What this is intended to be is a look at what I learned from putting together my very first CTF that involved more than one question, and possibly some tips and ideas that might help you in putting together a CTF for SEC DSM in the future, because they're always looking for somebody. So a quick overview of what we'll talk about tonight. So the CTF itself, what I learned, my top 3 tips to the people here, and what I look forward to doing in the future the next time we come around to this time of year. But before we do that, I want to get into my history. So who am I? My name is Derek. My handle is Vertical as of right now. That is a joke about me being out of commission for 5 days because I had really bad vertigo. So everybody said, yeah, like he's spinning in a vertical spin. So previously, I come from the United States Marine Corps. I had 13 years there as a electronics maintenance, although that was really just fancy talk for a glorified radio tech who handed broke shit to people who worked at Harris Radio because we couldn't fix it. After I decided to finish my time with the Marine Corps, I went over to Iowa State University. I don't give a shit about the Cyclones, nor do I give a shit about University of Iowa, so don't come at me with any of that stuff. But I eventually graduated with a degree, a bachelor's degree in management of information systems. While I was doing that, I also enlisted with the Iowa Air National Guard, where I currently work in the 168th Cyber Ops Squadron. If you're interested, we always have positions open, and I can gladly tell you about some of the things we do. But specifically, I do operations intelligence. For the Cyber Ops Squadron, I do cyber threat intelligence. It does say all-source analyst, but we are pivoting that to cyber threat intelligence. Finally, I also started in October of last year going to the SANS Technology Institute to pursue an undergrad certificate in applied cybersecurity. I actually finished that in June of this year, and I currently hold 5 paper certificates, would have been maybe sometimes useful. And currently I work at Venerable as the Junior Governance, Risk Management, and Compliance Analyst, working with all our third-party vendors to make sure that if something on their end breaks, it's not going to fuck us over. This is R-rated, right? Okay, it's a good time to ask afterwards. So the CTF itself. So the reason I called it the Gold Clock is because I started my journey into cybersecurity and InfoSec last year in October. That's when I first started my classes with the SANS Technology Institute. So if you've never been married or you're not quite sure about certain marriage traditions, gold is the thing you're supposed to give, and a clock is one of the very gifts. I didn't put too much effort into naming it. I just didn't want to name it something stupid like our September DSM mini CTF. So I put together 25 challenges. These are all done by me. The categories went over a couple different areas of things I've learned within the last year. You can read those there. I'm not going to read them off to you. And finally, I left it open for 2 weeks to give everybody an opportunity to do it. This was actually really great because it got more engagement. So like even this month's CTF, there's no limit to when you can finish that, which is a great opportunity for people to go, you know what, I want to try something. Here's a challenge out there. All I have to do is just go to this site and give it a chance. So that was part of the reason for that. But I also did this on the CTFD platform, and that shit costs $50 a month, so it is now closed. And of course, one of the best hacker movies is playing on the screen, aka Johnny Mnemonic. If you've never seen it, it is the only thing that what's the guy who wrote Neuromancer? William Gibson wrote, and it is a piece of garbage, but it's great to watch. So what did I learn from this CTF? So I came up with a rule that I found that was common across every single challenge I put in. For every hour I spent on a challenge, every participant would take about 2 minutes to solve it. So no matter how much time you put in it, no matter how complex you think it's going to be, for about every hour you put in, it's going to take them no time to break it. Don't and do trust the system. CTFD is awesome. I do highly recommend it. Even on this most basic plan, it's pretty great. I've seen a lot of others use it. They had it down at B-Sides KC a couple weeks ago. They're using it on different platforms. It is great as an intro. But CTFD has some quirks. For example, I had the help of Cooper on the Discord channel, who let me know that some files weren't there, even though I put them there when I created the challenge. So it's little things like things don't get uploaded right away, or the flags when you put in the flags, they're very static and very strict. So you have to put in other flags to account for variations, because somebody might not use the capitalization you're looking for, or somebody might go off a little bit, about 100 meters off of a geolocation. So you can do it, but plan for CTFD to fuck something up on your end. Plagiarize, but for the right reasons. So I know a lot of the joke in the community, especially programming, is copy and paste everything you find on Stack Overflow. That kind of is true in CTFs as well, but in the sense of, if you see a challenge that you really enjoyed, but you haven't really seen it in like mainstream capture the flags, take it and share it in your own. Update it just a little bit. For example, I did a CTF a couple months ago that was hosted in Amsterdam, and they had a really interesting challenge that was written in Python 2 to where they had a super secure password, but all you had to do was just read through the functions and find out how to reverse it. You do it in CyberChef. And all I did was, hey, this is really neat because it teaches you, 1, how to read code, 2, understand different encryption standards, or 3, just to understand this is what you should not be doing. If you're going to have proprietary code, make sure that it can't be broken very easily by CyberChef. But all I did was I updated it to Python 3 syntax. And I changed a few things around, like the XOR key instead of 55 was 53. So I didn't do too much, but I saw something cool and I took it for my own. And finally, not every idea is good. I threw out about 7 different ideas because they sucked ass. They were not good. And it did, but I didn't think that. I actually showed this to a couple other people. I shared this with some beta testers that I work with on Discord, and they're like, oh yeah, this sucks. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna give it up. It's not worth it because I'm not gonna get anything out of it, and you, as participants or your intended audience, is not gonna get anything out of it. So don't be afraid to throw away some ideas. So my top 3 tips for you, if you want to build your own CTF, specifically for November and on in SecDSM, you can @Colin if you want. First one is write, test, refine. It's a cycle. You write the challenge, you test it, you refine it. You might have a typo somewhere, or you notice that the flag isn't exactly what you thought, or you're doing some kind of geolocation challenge and something is very easy to find. Like instantly somebody just uses a reverse image search on Bing. I don't know why they use Bing, but they use Bing and it instantly gives them the answer. So you write it, you test it, you refine it, and that's just a constant cycle until you find that good end product. The other part is have multiple answers. I kind of talked about this earlier, but realize that every single challenge, no matter what category you put it in, forensics, well, maybe not forensics, forensics is fact-based, but maybe like pwning something or web exploitation, not everybody's gonna approach it the same way you did. Have different ways and prepare for different ways to people to break your shit and get the answer. Somebody might brute force it. Somebody might go a different way you didn't intend. So have answers prepared for those people who do that, because that's kind of the point of this community, is to find different ways to break shit. And finally, my top 3 tip is have fun and be weird. So for those of you that did the CTF, you might recognize this. That was pretty weird, right? But it was really fun. This was actually another challenge I plagiarized from a CTF that was done in Malaysia. It was a group of like 3 guys in Malaysia like, hey, check this out. There's something weird. And all you had to do was just go down the path, and you found these, I think this image is from like 2016, 2017, and it was just some people in Japan who were college students and put on pigeon masks. There's all kinds of weird shit on Google Maps or Google Street View that you can absolutely turn into a geolocation challenge, some kind of OSINT bullshit, since that's the stuff I love. But you can have fun with it. Don't be afraid to do that. Have fun with the thing you're putting together, because once it starts feeling like work, it's no longer it's gonna feel like work to your participants. Yes, sir. So in this specific challenge, I put them on a crosswalk and I said, hey, I feel like I'm being watched. Do you see what I see? And I told them, just go forward until you see the same thing. And as we all know, birds are government drones. So looking forward, so things I'd like to do for next year is at the end of this year, I want to finish working on how to do real basic malware analysis. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. the one person in the crowd who likes that stuff. And I'm doing that through the Cyber Mentor Academy, thanks to their $1 deal they had a couple months back or a couple weeks back. No Starch Press has another great book on practical malware analysis, the one with the weird alien on it. But this is something that I've always been interested in figuring out, hey, how are bad guys breaking our shit, kind of thing. So that's something I'd like to do in the future. Beyond that, I'd like to learn more about Web3. Everybody loves crypto bros, I'm sure. Raise the hands of who loves crypto bros. Oh my God, 2, okay. No, there's no fun allowed in Web3. But there's a site called Crypto Zombies where you can learn Solidity, which I believe is like a variant of JavaScript, which is gonna be a pain in the ass. And then Binance actually has an academy to where if you want to learn more about how crypto works, what smart contracts are, what is a blockchain, why there's so many different types, what's the difference between centralized finance and decentralized finance, blah, 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 blah. You can do that on there. And then finally, I'm also looking, after going to a Secure Iowa conference a couple weeks back, talking to the gentleman who runs their digital forensics program, looking at getting into that and learning more about, hey, if I were to look at other machines, what does that mean? How do I pull information from other machines? And then including that into others. And I can't remember, I don't know who Loner Vamp is, but they basically smashed Blue Team Labs online. But I would like to follow in those same steps and learn a little bit about that as well. And then, of course, bring that back to you guys in fun, weird challenges. So, yeah. Now. So in summary, this is everything we talked about. I won't bore you with that because you're all capable of reading, or at least I hope you are. So at that point, I'd like to open it up for questions and answers, if you have any. If you would like to get if you want to get connected, this is my Twitter handle, and I recently started a Substack. It is okay. It's literally just 3 stories from the week and a funny video I find on Twitter. If there are no questions, Colin, go ahead and start clapping. Thank you for your time, everybody.